Hello. My intention for this channel is to stay positive and to share things that are uplifting and inspiring. And yet, I want to talk about some things that trouble me and that are meaningful to me. And I'm not sure if I can integrate the two, but I'm going to give it a try. And so today, what's on my mind is traditional family values. And I was raised in the Baptist church. My mother took me down the aisle when I was 3 days old and gave me to God. And her and my father gave it everything they could to give me and my brother traditional family values. And yet, although we felt loved, we knew we were loved, truth was extremely important in our family. Respect was important in our family. There was a pervert who groomed me for many years, and I ended up totally rejecting the things that my parents hoped to instill in me because I was never protected and I never had a chance to heal from some of the bad things that were happening. And it wasn't my parents' fault because I never told them about what was going on. I was too scared to. So I couldn't have expected them to have done anything to help me or protect me when they weren't even aware that it was happening. But that sequence of events that I went through when I was growing up has caused me to make a connection or believe there's a correlation between the concept of traditional family values with some negative things that my parents never intended to instill in me. But yet, they got instilled in me because of some things that my parents didn't know was going on in my life. So for me, when I hear traditional family values, I get mad, I cringe, I get angry, I want to rage. To me, traditional family values is hypocrisy, it's lying, it's secretiveness, it's the normalization of pedophilia. It's racism, misogyny, all of those things I experienced because there was a lack of awareness, because there was a huge cover-up going on in my family that had for generations been hidden. And so my hope is that by talking about it openly now, it might help other families who could end up going through the same thing find a way to break the cycle of abuse. I hope to inspire people to have the courage to talk about things I never had the courage to talk about when I was growing up. I hope to increase the awareness about both the perpetrators and the victims of how it will play out in their lives all the way through adulthood and impact them negatively when breaking the cycle of abuse will result in the opposite. It'll result in the development of assertiveness skills. It'll result in empowerment. It'll result in confidence rather than fear and damaged self-esteem. So that's why I think it's important to talk openly about these things, because it's going on at all levels of society. Sexual abuse is occurring in the churches, it's occurring in the families, it's occurring in the schools, it's occurring in jobs, it's occurring at all levels of society. And when you experience it as a child, you become a sitting duck because you develop some coping skills for dealing with that other perpetrators, and I want to say that most perpetrators were wounded themselves. They learned to perpetrate by being victims. So the victim-perpetrator cycle is a negative vortex that feeds on itself. So there's two things that happen. One is some victims become determined to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to others. And some victims, especially if they enjoyed what happened to them but felt ashamed about it, they don't want to be alone in their shame, but they don't want to give up the pleasure that they enjoyed. And so they will go out and try to convince others that it's okay and to join them. And they convince themselves that they're going to teach others or give others the same kind of pleasure they felt, even though it's taboo in society. And they become perpetrators too. So victims either repeat the cycle by becoming perpetrators, or they try to intervene and stop the cycle because they are experiencing negative consequences that they don't want anyone else to ever have to go through. And the perpetrators seem to be in denial about the negative consequences. They seem to minimize it. They seem to think, oh, it's absurd. They seem to project their own lust onto other people and convince themselves that they wanted it because something about that person turned them on, and they believe that the person couldn't have turned them on if they hadn't felt the same way they feel. And so hence the I know you want it. I know you do. I can tell you do when they're coming after you. when you're absolutely 100% clear that you do not. There's no convincing them otherwise. That's how rape happens. And then at some point when it becomes apparent the person really doesn't want it, well, then it's too late. They're too far into it to that energy of lust has captured them and they can't let go of what it was they intended to do. And they go through with it whether you like it or not. So, usually when someone has a negative experience as a child, it's not just one. Sometimes it happens over and over and over with the same person, and sometimes other people can tell that person is wounded by their behavior, by their words they choose or don't choose, by their shyness. They take their shyness as something that needs to be healed, and they want to heal them by bringing them out of it. There's all kinds of weird ideas that perpetrators get about how they can help someone that they can see or they suspect or they intuit has been wounded. And so a therapist told me one time that once you have been sexually molested, it's like you've got a sign over your head, a neon sign that says molest me, and the perpetrators are just drawn to you. And learning how to have enough assertiveness skills to say no without getting raped. A lot of times, victims of sexual abuse are afraid to say no because that will mean they are going to be raped, because they attract people who are violently determined to have their way. I cannot count the number of times I have had sex with someone that I was not turned on to and had no desire to have sex with, because I just knew in my heart that if I said no to sex, I was going to get raped. And I've been raped violently 3 times anyway. So, what happens is when you have been sexually abused, you're like, perpetrators are like moth to a light bulb to you. You're like the light bulb, and the perpetrators are like the moth coming to you to see how much they can get from you, to see what they can convince you of, because they want to heal you. You can't believe some of the creative things people that you are not the least bit interested in having sex with will come up to get you, to do it with them. I'll give you a raise. You can keep your job. You won't have to work as many hours. I'll get you some help in here. It just goes on and on and on at all levels of society. And everything you do from then on. You can even go to an ashram and take a vow of abstinence. And there'll be perverts in there wanting to do it with you. But see, I want to stay positive. But what I want people to be aware of this stuff so they know what's going on. And after a while, when it happens over and over and over, you start thinking it's something I'm doing. I'm asking for this. Because they'll tell you, you know, you wanted it, you were asking for it. And in your heart, you know you didn't. But you're wondering, what the heck did I do to give them that impression? So it's very complicated to get out of the cycle of abuse, to break out of the cycle of abuse. Anyway, that's what I want to talk about. And I'm going to talk about it probably quite a bit, and I hope I stayed positive enough. I hope some of you will comment and let me know whether you think this was a Debbie Downer video or whether it was helpful information and you can see at least my intention to stay positive, how sharing this kind of information can be helpful for the world. So anyway, I'm going to end now. Like if you like, subscribe if you want to. Thank you for watching if you watched this far. And I'm going to talk about this stuff some more. So I appreciate everybody who's interested in what I have to say. Yay! I'm going to be positive. I really am. I'm going to talk about some good stuff. I hope you like it. Anyway, I do. Okay, that's enough. Out of here.